Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Golden Gloves Chat Show. With me, my very special guest, Sydney Nkomo. Cindy, thank you for joining us, taking out time. You're the former Director of Operations at BSA and currently the Acting CEO of Boxing South Africa. So firstly, let's do the welcome, that version.
The new normal.
The new normal,
yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy, for your time. Well, and good luck with that post. We're going to talk a lot more about that now in the interview. Firstly, I want to ask you the normal question, which I'm getting tired of asking everybody, is the lockdown, the coronavirus. How's it affected you? How's it treated you? How's it been the last couple of months? You're looking in great shape, I must tell you.
It's all the running that we've been
forced
we're
going
to
talk
do
about
because
that.
we can't do anything else. Thank you for the opportunity. But I must say, I am still the Director of Operations, so I'm wearing two hats. And I'm going to go grey very, very quickly because of all these responsibilities.
So you're still Director and Acting CEO at the same time?
No, that's correct,
Good
yeah.
to know.
Lockdown, lockdown came at a time that we were having, obviously, plans for the next financial year, which begins on the 1st of April. We had tournaments lined up. 5 tournaments were cancelled. There were some tournaments that had not been submitted. But we're in the pipeline. So that really, affected our plans and the exciting parts that we're obviously looking forward to. On the flip side, though, we've had to be creative like the rest of the world has. There's been some great developments. For instance, we've gone digital now with our licensing. So we've been forced to actually just adapt. The other, negative thing, obviously fighters are not in the ring. They're not earning income.
Yes.
They're not able to defend their titles. But I'm sure with time, we'll get back to our normal in boxing, and certainly looking forward to that time.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about boxing. Obviously, that's what you and I do. But something that the viewers might not know about Sydney Nkomo. We know you're a runner. We know you love running. You've told me you did the Comrades 5 times.
Yes.
That's absolutely amazing. And you ran faster than I did. I could only make it once. Brilliant stuff. So you're a runner and you've kept fit running and all that. Where did the love of boxing come from?
I guess it's my dad. Back in the days of watching boxing at 3 a.m. because of obviously, exactly.
Gone to Bella.
My dad used to actually wake me up to watch boxing or watch boxing with him on, when we used to have boxing on Saturdays, and I guess he picked up the love for sport, and that's what we share even today. Boxing comes at a time where I wasn't really looking at coming into sport, but I had been participating personally. I used to be a 12 handicap golfer.
Really?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And running took over. And I've always been a sports person, so you'll always find me doing one thing or the other. I've actually now taken up boxing as a recreational activity.
Okay.
But it also helps me to understand what boxers go through and their demanding schedule.
Tough
and
sport.
it is definitely. So I do respect the training that goes into boxing. So, Brian, I'm at home. It's sport. For me, it's second nature.
Fantastic. Well answered. Great. I'm a golfer as well, and an ex-boxer.
That's why I said that.
So we've got a lot in common with the boxing and the golf.
Yes.
Cindy, BSA, you joined BSA in 2017, 3 years ago, under Chola Lojaka was CEO then. You and Chola obviously are great friends. I must compliment both of you. You'd be highly recommended by everybody for your administration work. Well done on that too. What was it like working with Chola?
Easy because he was never jealous of sharing. He from the time that I came in, he gave me the leverage to learn, first of all, as much as possible, to be in spaces that probably other bosses wouldn't want to share. But he never limited me in terms of exposure, and I guess also the trust that we had for each other. He trusted my decision because I always say, the operations manager is there to make their bosses look good. And I was very, very clear about that, in every decision that I make, I need to make sure that my seniors are able to stand in front of a podium and respond to question confidently, but we also make sure that we keep the integrity of the sport and the administration of boxing. So it has been really a great 3 years and a couple of months working with him. And I was sad to see him leave, but also grateful for the time that he has spent with the organization, and I've learned a lot from him. He's not lost to the sport. He is a sports person as I am. And I'm sure, whenever I need him, he'll be available to just give that guidance.
Fantastic. What a great man. Cholo Lojaka, good luck in your future. And like you said, you learned a lot from him, and he's a great guy, and you guys did a great job together. I must tell you, once again, fantastic congratulations, man. You're only the second female ever after Tumi Kakana to be announced as acting CEO of Boxing South Africa. So what did it feel like when you were told that we possibly next year, we're hoping that you will actually be the CEO of Boxing South Africa?
So for me, it's just a natural, transition and wearing of an extra hat. I had been doing the work. And like I mentioned, that Mr. Lejaka has always roped me in some of the decisions and the processes. So it's an additional layer, because I'm almost with the CEO position. It's a foresight on an overview of the entire organization, not just in operations. I must say, I didn't get the time to sit and think and wallow in it, because it happened so suddenly. Just so appointment on a Wednesday, Thursday I had to get the things going. But I'm grateful for the opportunity and what it means also for women. We've had women who've paved the way for us in sport. Carol in football, and she's now also in boxing.
Yes, Carol's great.
Yes, there's women in cricket. So for me, it's just another confirmation that, women are capable, and I'm hoping that at some point in time we are going to get over this first. We are in 2020. And for us to still be discussing first or second, it's a bit of a bittersweet thing, but I am grateful that it is happening, because we have our kids that are growing up. They mustn't look at sport as a male-dominated industry, but see it as an opportunity to get in there and do great things.
Fantastic. Cindy, let's talk about the eco-isolation that Golden Gloves obviously wants to apply now for. How would BSA back the eco-isolation? How does it work from your side?
So,
just from a layman's term of view, so the viewers understand.
Yeah, so we've had to apply to the minister and submit an operational plan, but giving an overview of how the tournament is going to roll out. Because obviously the tournament delivery is just the end of it. We start from the application, the boxes. How do we then manage the boxes? Because at the time of contracting, they have to take the responsibility as well to ensure that they keep safe until, obviously, after the tournament, and they continue to do so. So the operational plan, covers that, the testing, 7 days and 10 days before the tournament, and the actual isolation. We're using Golden Gloves as a trial, but the actual tournament delivery is actually going to happen, and we've sat with obviously Rodney and mapped out how we're going to deliver the tournament, and we've had to look particularly on the isolation. Fortunately, it's no longer now 14 days. It's down to 10 days, which in all honesty, and for most promoters, it talks to cost. But we are also going to bring in, the different camps to take responsibility, because as much as this is Golden Gloves tournament, it is their tournament, it is their sport. So for a certain number of days, they'll take isolation to themselves. We're then going to go into pre-medical weigh-in, and from that, with all the screening that is going to be done, then they're going to go into isolation. I think it's going to be a little bit challenging for everybody in the first, because it's going to be a first.
For sure.
But like we've done with everything else, the new normal, we've eventually adapted. And I think with delivery of the first tournament, we are going to see how it works, and obviously have contingency plans in place. And I'm confident that we're going to pull it through, with obviously the support that is behind Golden Gloves in terms of the partnership, in terms of accommodation, and everybody just around the brand. And we are going to try and then replicate that with other promoters, taking into consideration their unique needs and their unique situations.
Yeah, well, the fantastic thing is with the tournament working with Empress Palace, obviously Empress Palace would vacate one of the hotels and give us the whole hotel for all the fighters and the managers and the guys that need to be isolated. Fantastic. It's great news, obviously, that the 10th of October we're opening boxing. You must be pretty excited as acting CEO of BSA that we've got a boxing tournament coming up on the 10th of October.
Lady luck is definitely on my side, but for me it also paves the way, because I've had to come in at the time of submission of operational plan, which is a task that I did and submitted. Now the delivery of the first tournament. So I'm grateful for the opportunity and the outlook and the experience that's going to give me, because not that we'll find ourselves in COVID times, in our generation, but when we're faced with similar challenges, how do we adapt and how do we? But it was also a challenge, I think, everybody in the sport to be creative and work outside the norm. And certainly these are the times that we're seeing that. And I'm fortunate to be part of that.
Yes, fantastic. And Cindy, tell me just quickly, the boxing awards, any news on that? Where will we be going with it? I know it's could be a difficult answer for now.
No, not really. We know that with gatherings, it's a bit difficult to host it. And how do you tell the boxing community that we'll only have 50 people? Virtual seemed to be the answer. But in all honesty, our sport, our boxers worked really, really hard to get to this point that they even just get nominated. So we had thought of virtual awards, but that doesn't seem to be the way to go. So we are going to try and see how do we balance, probably come into an arrangement where we do virtual announcement, but at the right time we actually host a handover of these trophies and certificates. Fantastic. And just give that personal feel, because you can imagine if we just announce the winner of a certain category and then we post the trophy, it just doesn't have that personal touch. So we'll try and balance both. We don't have the date yet, but I think before this quarter, which ends in September, we'll definitely have a plan that will be communicated.
Fantastic. Cindy, well, my final question to you, which is just a broad question, where do you see boxing going? 2020 was a terrible year for all of us. Really sad year for boxers. Boxers sitting at home, not having food on the table, really sad year. 2021 hopefully will be much better. It can only be better than 2020. Where do you see boxing going in the future? In South Africa, of course.
I want to have the same feel that I had sitting with my dad in the lounge. And I guess with all the troubles that are in boxing, I still took up the position to be a director of operations in 2017. So I'm not shying away from the challenges, because I think I have a heart for it. And I don't believe that a sport this great, that has changed so many people's life and has such a rich history, can just disappear. So I remember having this conversation with Mr. Lijaka that certainly we are the administration that has the heart for it and has the ability to bring in change. Is it going to be easy? Certainly not. It's going to take time, because there's a lot of layers that we need. And like the saying goes, you eat an elephant in chunks. I know that boxing people want change as quickly as possible. We take that into consideration, but we got to get the basics right. Once we get the basics right, and everything else will follow. I always say, and sometimes it's not a popular statement, that broadcasting, sponsorship, always depends on the brand that you get. We've got to get the brand of boxing right, and that starts with governance. It starts with the behavior as well of our licenses. We've got to stay away from media. We've got to stay away from unnecessary media coverage, so that sponsors see the value for them to come into boxing. Then the other things come in place. We've got to be able to have a product that you can put on TV. Tournaments got to start on time. The corner people got to be dressed the right way. We've got to have the fit boxes in the ring, ratings, everything else that makes the ring is got to be right before we have all these grand plans. I'm equal to the task to getting that. I always say I have a strong chin. I'll take the punches because my heart is that let's get the basics right and everything else follows. And if we keep that in mind, we are not going to start at the tail. We're going to start right at the beginning. We are halfway there, Brian. And for me, I think 2021, with all the plans that we're going to outroll now with our coming communication, we'll definitely have some exciting, and I'm positive that boxing people will come on board with us.
Cindy, you've been a wonderful guest, and really congratulations on acting CEO of BSA. We really think you are the right lady for the job, and you're doing a brilliant job so far. You have done since 2017. So to all our viewers out there, thank you again, Cindy Nkomo. From me, Brian Mitchell. We'll see you at the next chat show. Thank you for watching.